Hello everyone. I'm Hana, and welcome back to Hana's Japan Radio. Oh my gosh, okay, I am so happy you're here today because today's topic is one that is really close to my heart. Like, genuinely. I've been wanting to talk about this for so long. We're talking about Zen Buddhism, and not in a heavy, textbook kind of way, okay? We're talking about how Zen just lives inside everyday Japanese life. How it breathes through the way we arrange flowers, the way we rake sand, the way we drink tea. It's everywhere. And growing up in Kyoto? Oh, I was surrounded by it without even realizing it. So let's just settle in. Imagine we're sitting at a little wooden table in a quiet cafe somewhere in Higashiyama, that's the old district in Kyoto, with the stone-paved streets and the little temples tucked between the trees. You have something warm in your hands. I have my matcha latte. And we're just going to talk. Okay. So first, what even is Zen? Because I feel like people hear the word and they imagine someone sitting cross-legged on a mountain and going, Haha, okay, so, that's not totally wrong, but it's so much more than that. Zen is a school of Buddhism that came to Japan from China around the 12th and 13th centuries, and it really took root here in a deep way. The word Zen actually comes from the Chinese word Chan, which comes from the Sanskrit word dhyana, which means meditation. Focused awareness. Being present. In the heart of Zen is this idea that you can't really reach enlightenment, what they call satori, just by reading books or memorizing texts. You reach it through direct experience. Through sitting quietly. Through practice. Through doing things with your full, complete attention. I wonder if that resonates with you? I think in today's world, with our phones buzzing every 5 seconds, that idea feels more radical than ever. Now, here's the thing that I find so beautiful, Zen didn't stay inside the temples. It leaked out. Into the arts. Into daily habits. Into the very way Japanese people relate to their homes, their meals, their time. And I really felt this growing up. Okay, so, my first memory. This is a big one for me. When I was maybe 7? 8? My Obeikan, my grandmother, she lived in this older house in Fushimi, just south of central Kyoto. And every single morning, without fail, she would do this thing. She would wake up before anyone else, and she would just clean. Not in a rushed, I have to get this done kind of way. Slowly. Deliberately. She would sweep the engawa, the wooden veranda that runs along the outside of traditional Japanese homes, with a long broom. And the sound of that broom, shush, 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 oh, I can still hear it. And she would wipe the surfaces with a damp cloth, one smooth stroke at a time. And she never looked hurried. She looked peaceful. I remember asking her once, I was like, Obeikan, why do you clean so much? It's already clean. And she laughed, she had this wonderful soft laugh, and she said something like, cleaning is not about the dust, Hana-chan. It's about the mind. And I was 8 years old, so I was like, okay, cool, can I have breakfast now? Haha. But that idea stayed with me. I think about it all the time now. Because that is Zen thinking. That daily physical act of cleaning as a form of meditation. In Zen temples, this is actually a formal practice. It's called soji, cleaning as spiritual training. Young monks don't just sit in meditation all day. They scrub floors. They wipe corridors. They sweep temple gardens. And it's not a chore. It's practice. It's the same as sitting in zazen, seated meditation. It's all the same thing. The hand moves, the mind follows. You see this in Japanese culture everywhere if you know what to look for. The idea that how you do something is just as important, maybe more important, than what you produce. There's a Japanese word, shokunin, which roughly means artisan or craftsman, but it goes so much deeper than that. A shokunin is someone who has dedicated their entire life to mastering one thing. One skill. One craft. Making soba noodles. Sharpening knives. Folding paper. And the Zen influence on this is huge. It's this belief that through devoted, mindful repetition, you come closer to something true. Something essential. Oh! And speaking of devoted repetition, can we talk about the tea ceremony? Because I love this so much. It's called Chado, or sometimes Shinoyu, the way of tea. And it was heavily shaped by Zen principles. The whole experience is designed to pull you out of the rushing world and into one single, quiet moment. There's even a phrase in tea ceremony philosophy, ichigo ichii, which means, one time, one meeting. The idea that this exact moment, this exact gathering of people, this exact cup of tea, will never happen again. Ever. So you should be completely, totally present for it. The movements in a tea ceremony are so precise. So practiced. The way you hold the bowl, the way you turn it before drinking, the way the host wipes the scoop. Nothing is careless. Nothing is an accident. And the room itself, the chashitsu, the tea room, is usually very small, very simple. No decoration except maybe one hanging scroll, one flower arrangement. Everything unnecessary has been removed. That simplicity. That's wabi, one of the core aesthetic concepts in Zen-influenced Japanese culture. Finding beauty in imperfection, in quietness, in not too much. I actually attended a proper tea ceremony for the first time when I was in middle school, on a school trip to a beautiful garden in Kyoto. I think it was in Daidokuji, one of the great Zen temple complexes. And I remember being so nervous to hold the bowl correctly. My hands were a little shaky. The woman running the ceremony was this older lady in a beautiful kimono, and she was so calm it was almost intimidating. And the matcha she prepared, oh my gosh, the color. This deep, vivid green. And the taste was slightly bitter and grassy and warm, and it felt like... I don't know how to explain it. It felt important somehow. Like I was participating in something that had been passed down for hundreds of years. I still get goosebumps thinking about it. Now, I have to talk about Zen gardens. I cannot do this episode without talking about Karasansui, the dry landscape garden. You've probably seen pictures. Raked white gravel or sand, with carefully placed rocks. No water. No flowers. Just patterns in sand and stone. And they are stunning. There's one called Ryoanji, it's here in Kyoto, it's very famous, 15 rocks arranged in a garden of raked gravel, surrounded by old clay walls. And the garden is designed so that no matter where you stand, you can only ever see 14 of the 15 rocks at once. Isn't that wild? Can you believe that? 15 rocks and one is always hidden from view. Nobody fully agrees on what it means. Some people say the hidden rock represents the imperfection that exists in all things. Some say it represents the moment of enlightenment, the thing you're always reaching for but can never quite grasp from where you stand. And honestly, I love that there's no single answer. That feels very Zen to me. The point isn't to figure it out. The point is to sit with the question. I went to Ryoanji with my mom when I was maybe 15. It was an autumn morning, really early, and there was mist in the air. The kind of cold that makes everything smell like fallen leaves and earth. We sat on the wooden viewing platform for a long time, just looking at those rocks. Neither of us said anything for a while. And my mom, who is usually very talkative, very energetic, she just sat there quietly with her hands in her lap. And I thought, oh, this is what the garden does. It quiets you down somehow. It's working on you without you even knowing it. The raking of the gravel in these gardens, by the way, is another form of that meditative practice, like Myobacon's morning sweeping. The monks who maintain these gardens rake the patterns fresh every morning. Long, careful parallel lines, or gentle circles around the rocks. And a rainstorm can disturb it all overnight, and the next morning they start again. And that's okay. That's part of it. There's actually a concept in Zen called Shoshin, beginner's mind. The idea that you approach every experience, even something familiar, with openness. With curiosity. Like you're seeing it for the first time. A master rakes the garden with the same freshness as the first time they ever held the rake. I think this is one of the most beautiful ideas. I try to practice it myself, honestly. When I walk the same streets in Kyoto I've walked 100 times, I try to notice something new. A different light. A sound I missed before. A small flower growing in the crack of an old stone wall. And you know, food is part of this too. Of course I had to get to food eventually. In Zen temple cooking, there is a practice called Shojin Ryori, Buddhist vegetarian cuisine. Absolutely no meat, no fish, and traditionally not even strong-smelling vegetables like garlic or onions, because they were thought to excite the mind too much. And Shojin Ryori is not about depriving yourself. It's about honoring what you have. Cooking with full attention. Finding the true flavor of simple ingredients, tofu, root vegetables, mountain greens, sesame, dashi made from kombu seaweed. The food is quiet, if that makes sense. Gentle. Beautiful in its simplicity. When I've eaten it at temple stays, you can do overnight stays at some Kyoto temples, called shukubo, there's something about the food that makes you slow down. You eat slowly. You taste things properly. You feel strangely grateful. Oh, I love that. Gratitude. That might be the word that ties all of this together, actually. Zen, at its heart, teaches a kind of grateful attention to the present moment. Not wishing you were somewhere else. Not rushing to the next thing. Just being here, fully, with what is. Myobacon sweeping her veranda in the morning quiet. The monk raking fresh lines in white gravel. The tea ceremony host making one bowl of tea as if it is the most important thing in the world. Because in that moment, it is. I think Japan carries this quietly. It's not something most people walk around talking about, like, nobody's saying, "Ah yes, very Zen of me," over breakfast. It's just woven into the texture of daily life. In the care people take with small things. In the patience. In the pauses. And I hope, wherever you are in the world right now, this gave you a little quiet moment too. A little space to breathe. I'd love to know, does anything like this exist in your culture? That idea of mindfulness living inside everyday habits? I genuinely wonder about that. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It really means the world. I'm Hana, and I'll see you in the next episode. Mata ni, see you soon. Take care of yourselves, okay? Bye bye.